Has Reanimal reminded me why Tarsier Studios remains the king of the little horror genre? Let's review. The game has been out for about 2 months, and at this stage, most people that were interested in this game has definitely jumped on and played it. There is still a lingering crowd that maybe hasn't experienced this or maybe wonders where the Tarsier Studios shift from doing Little Nightmares 1 and 2 and jumping over to create this brand new entity would be to their likings, because we also had Little Nightmares 3, which was created by a different studio, which remains Bandai Namco. A great thing about jumping and doing the Reanimal review right now is that there's going to be the expanded world update, and that's going to be dropping in summer 2026. I'm assuming that's in the American timetable because in Australia we've already had our summer, but that's going to be coming out in a month or two. Really excited to see what they're going to do with that one, but ultimately, I just want to dive into more of this immersive, scary, horrific experience and just eat up more chapters. So, what is Reanimal? Reanimal to me is another entry in the little horror genre. In my opinion, I'm calling it little horror because the world is just such an expansive, vast entity compared to the little characters that you play as. This game is no exception. It is a brother and sister duo that are returning to an island that they once called home, and their entire goal is to save their friends from the horror that is unfolding before them. One of the most intense challenges that this company faces in general when they put together these games is that there is nary a spoken word through this entire experience. You are going in there to find out what has happened and ultimately construct your own canon in your head. There is a lot of stuff that's drawn from the world and pieced together as you go, but there's so much left to open interpretation that one person's experience could be completely different from another's. A lot of these games have been single player only experiences so that you are left to your own devices and you are going around and making your own narrative, putting your own words into the characters' mouth, like as you're walking around, essentially, because you could be coming across going, "Oh, this is disgusting. What is this? Well, come on, hurry up!" Like when you got little companions that you just don't know what they're doing, and or there could be a puzzle that you're talking out loud, or like it puts you in the boots of the character themselves. You are the main protagonist. You can envision yourself as them if you really want to, considering how mortifying some of these scenarios are. This entire game can be played solo. I played it in co-op, and I highly recommend that this would probably be the best format to play. If you wanted to go and play Reanimal, grab a friend. The best thing about it, it's crossplay. The best thing about that, one person has to get it, and then you can just friend share with the next person, and then they can just join on a friend pass, and then you both go into the nightmares together. It's also one of those games where it can appeal to a wider audience in terms of there isn't a lot of mechanics to actually grasp. There is definitely puzzles that you would come across. There is definitely environmental storytelling that video gamers would know. They like to say that, if I'm going to walk this way, I might progress the story. But if I walk this way, I'm going to find a new place. But if I walk this way and then come back that way, I'm going to experience more of the game. And maybe I do it in the correct order. Maybe it's going to lock me out. So for people that want to just go through there and they just see it like a doorway over there and they just start walking there, you can do that. There's other people that would study the environment and say, I definitely know that that looks like a gateway door. And that's definitely the objective. So I'm going to go this way. The game is open enough to allow that, while also structured and narrow enough to funnel the player into where they need to go when they actually reach the environments. There is never really a moment in this game where I've necessarily felt like it was a huge handheld experience. There were a couple moments where I was kind of shocked. Like I walk into a in environment and a event would happen, just like say the least. I don't really want to spoil it too much, but like if you watch a trailer, you've seen some of the horrific things that have turned up there. There is monsters 17,000 times the size of your little characters and stuff like that. And you're terrified at first because one wrong move, it's instant death. As soon as those things grab you, you were gone. You were ripped apart, eaten, done some horrible, horrible things to lead to you. But after the second or third time, you kind of already understand the pattern of what's happening, and some of the fear is definitely gone, and you're kind of just going through that thing of saying it's like, okay, well, I just need to go here, and then I need to go here, and then I need to go here, and I can follow that thing. But then every time you get to the next bit, you got to learn the new bit of the puzzle. So it does keep things fresh and does keep it approachable enough so that it's not going to gatekeep people that aren't super accurate, super quick timed, like super observant, like as well. So it blends so many different play styles like into one and offers the same experience to everyone. There could be people that sit down here and get through this game in 3 to 4 hours because it is a relatively short game. But there can also be people like myself and my gaming duo. We spent 2 game sessions on this, like, and I think each of them were 4 hours each. And we went around and we were collecting things and we were finding posters. We were trying to find out more about the world and just engaging in the puzzles themselves was fun to do. Like, and it was trying to like second guess of like, what's coming next. And it kept doing that. It kept dragging you to the next environment and it kept doing it seamlessly. And I also think one of the greatest things about these like environments is that it's varied enough. It's drawing from a lot of different horror tried and true classics. There's a literal 80s theater style, which could go back even further. Like it could be like a theater that you would find in the 80s, but it was established in the 40s. There's World War II era entities. There is quite literally some animal and human experimental cross contamination, terrifying puppet like style horror that like this goes. It blends everything so seamlessly. Everything makes sense why it's there. Everything is such a pleasantly horrific experience that I can't express enough how much I thoroughly enjoyed the experience that they put together without telling me a single spoken word. And just circling back a little bit there, I just want to touch on the fact that there's the typical horror game issue that pops up in every single horror game where it is the first time you walk into a puzzle, it's scary. But if you keep dying to it, it loses its luster and then you kind of just carelessly walking straight through the environment and you're saying like, I don't care whether you kill me, I need to go find out this, whether it does this or that. But I do challenge you to tell me a game that has truly mastered and worked all of those little errors and moments out that like you would run into where you would die too many times on one puzzle and you're quoting the boss or you're running back in and then you're just doing this and that like with a little emotion. I truly don't think that there is a single horror game that has completely been able to eradicate that feeling. So I don't want to give this a negative for having those moments, but there were definitely a couple of moments in here where the first time I went through there, I was stumped and not in a great way. So just for that, I'd mention that and why I brought that up. Again, I didn't necessarily want to be comparing this to a Little Nightmares series, but if you were wondering about making the jump to this brand new avenue that Tarsier Studios has gone down, the Little Nightmares series has always had giant atmospheric, larger than life world building in terms of skyboxes that are so vast and deep, and then you can see them way back. And but you've only ever been like walking across the screen this little bit, and every single room that you go to, like the camera shifts and you're stuck in this little small area and stuff like that. Like it's cramped and it's scary and stuff like that. And the chapters would always progress and then it would be like a different theme in every single chapter. This one felt like one choice. It felt like one world. And it's actually like driven home really, really well in the fact that you are re-exploring areas. You are going through one little area. You jump on a boat and you can swim past an area, and you kind of thinking like maybe I'm going to come through there. I felt like this flowed so much better. Like the world felt like one horror. It felt like one story. And the way that it's told as well is an impending doom. Like you're racing the clock. It genuinely did feel like you were trying to get somewhere before something would happen. And I felt like that gave enough freedom for you to explore, but at the same time, wondering that what's the next step that's going to cause the next horror element of the story to unfold? What's going to be the next catalyst to bring forth what has been happening, like to explain why you're here, to explain why you're gathering your friends, to explain what is happening to the main characters. So it is just seamless in my honest opinion. Like this is a very fluid, well designed, integrated game. So here comes the part that I don't like doing when I do reviews, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want to give Reanimal a 9 out of 10. I feel that it genuinely deserves that. I don't necessarily like giving scores because at the same time, I had so much fun with this that my personal experience is a 9. Objectively speaking, I think the way that they have done this game, the design, the audio, the flow, the mechanics, like just how well optimized it is, it does deserve a 9 as well. So that's everything that I've got to say about Reanimal. What did you think about Reanimal? Are you excited for the expansions? And we want to thank Tarsier Studios as well. I'm so glad that you have captured the excitement and the magic that you did when you went through and did Little Nightmares 1 and 2. I hope that you are very proud and super happy with your product. Thank you for watching another Fletcher Reviews, and I will be seeing you next time.